As I sat watching the 2017 NBA draft, I couldn't help but feel like I was watching the future of the league taking shape right in front of me. Ridiculous amounts of potential at virtually every position. Scorers, passers, defenders, big men who could step out, little guys who could go in. And to break up all the excitement, the Knicks picked. Oh, that was a cheap one, Knicks fan. I'm a bad boy. But as we approach the third season of one of the most lauded draft classes ever, the wow factor simply hasn't been there. Bust. Regression. Disappointment. But nestled right in the middle of the lackluster top 4 picks and the hit-or-miss back end of the lottery, there was a player that captured the imagination of the Kings front office. And after 2 seasons in the NBA, he's starting to capture mine as well. That's because De'Aaron Fox is already a star.
Drive Mustang.
So, 538 just came out with their brand new, much anticipated by complete stat nerds like myself, projection system named Raptor, or robust algorithm using player tracking and on-off rating, to replace their old projection system, Carmelo, that correctly predicted last year's NBA champion, the Toronto Raptors. And just when you think my jokes are corny, leave it to the real NBA dorks to show me up. If we look at the projections for De'Aaron, we see what looks a little underwhelming. And I suggest pausing the video here if you want to take a better look at this chart. But this nugget we find at the top here, what's this? Categorized as a future all-star with a 5-year market value of $160 million? That's because the minds of 538 had the foresight to compare wins over replacement trends of different players over different portions of their careers. Unsurprisingly, the most similar player, Russell Westbrook, 2011, the year he became an all-star for the first time. Their size, speed, and vertical capabilities make them easy comparisons. And that's not even bringing up the fact that they are easily 2 of the most electrifying players I've ever seen. And because the stats agree with me, the logical thing to do would just be to make a comparison video. But truth be told, when I watch the 2 play, I see 2 completely different athletes. So 538 projection, do me a favor, lick my ass. We're not doing that. This is why Russell Westbrook and De'Aaron Fox are completely different players. This is where they should be the most similar, right? Physical freaks coming downhill at 100 miles per hour, but not so fast. Oh man, who writes this garbage? Oh yeah, I do. Whenever I watch Russ play, I can't help but think pinball. Launch the ball hard as hell and watch it bang around the inside of the defense. While it is undoubtedly super exciting, it isn't always necessarily efficient. Rookie De'Aaron didn't have this problem. He had a worse problem. He'd penetrate and just not really know what to do. This led to tough shots, like this weird hanging nonsense. But in his second year, he completely revamped his half-court game. Now he knows how to set up defenders with hesitation and off-speed when attacking the pick and roll. Then when he has players exactly where he wants them, time for that blow-by with his elite athleticism. De'Aaron's game has a much more surgical quality to it than Russ's brute force approach. Statistically, what does this mean? Well, on shots within 3 feet of the rim, De'Aaron is shooting an astonishing 68.7% last year, a mark Russ has never reached at any point in his career. When I watched Fox play in college, I was obviously very impressed with him. Going toe-to-toe and dominating the country's best point guard in Lonzo at the time, the scoring I figured would work itself out. And to this point, I think it has. The passing, on the other hand, I had questions about. That's because I saw a lot of this, and this, and as a rookie, more of this. This isn't a bad pass. He completes it and leads to an okay shot. But let's be honest, this looks more like me during my Wednesday men's basketball league than it does Russell exploding to the hoop and dropping off an easy one for a dunk. And because of this, his passing production outside of the painted area made up 2/3 of his total assists, while the number of passes resulting in assists for layups and dunks barely squeaked over one combined. But his passing year over year, especially in the pick and roll, grew leaps and bounds, meaning substantial growth in the proportion of these gimme field goals he assisted on, while still being able to pump up his overall production. And while his assist numbers have spiked, he's managed to keep his turnovers low. His 2.6 assist to turnover ratio isn't quite prime Chris Paul or Rajon Rondo, but you have to be happy with it for a second-year player. This assist to turnover ratio in just his second year is again a mark Russell has never hit in a single season. Shooting, the bane of every great athletic prospect to enter the league like ever. It makes sense that someone like De'Aaron would not be a great shooter after just 1 year in college, when he could literally just run faster and jump higher than everyone he played against the entirety of his teenage years. But nevertheless, it hurt him badly as a rookie. But let me show you 3 different games that progressed through his first 2 seasons and show you exactly what developing even a league average shot can do for a freak like Fox. October 28, 2017, Sacktown. And here are some clips you may recognize from before. A major contributing factor to De'Aaron's weird shot selection, particularly in the beginning of his rookie season, was the type of sagging defenses guards played against him, even in straight-up one-on-one scenarios. The huge buffer Dragic gives him on all of these clips basically negates his elite athleticism. Being the absolute stud that he is helps him finish these looks, but undoubtedly they are bad shots. Now jumping to next season, and the Lakers think they can pull the same types of tricks that worked last year. Sag, and if he takes a 3, hope he misses. Good in theory, but theory doesn't apply so well when a player's been busting his butt all summer long to improve his jumper. De'Aaron splashes several uncontested or poorly contested 3s on several Lakers defenders to give him an efficient 21. We skip forward a few more months, and the Knicks have updated their scouting report. Turns out you do need to cover this kid on the outside, which means only one thing. Time for the rack attack, baby! Oh, bang! Yeah, that layup was super sick. Now in the course of a little over a year, De'Aaron has brought his 3-point percentage up nearly 7 points, from a bad shooter to an average shooter, but a good enough shooter to make defenses respect him and take full advantage of his God-given ability. Now, because of poor planning on my part, you're seeing this video 40 games in without a single mention of the current season, so let me go ahead and touch on some key takeaways I've noticed from the extremely disappointing Kings and their star, De'Aaron Fox. So the 3-point shooting has dropped significantly from last season without the attempts going up in any meaningful way. His mid-range shooting has taken a move up, and the free throw shooting is stable. So I guess the jury's really still out on whether he can maintain that good enough level I mentioned earlier. Something to keep your eye on as the season progresses. On a more positive note, his free throw shooting has been spectacular this season. 47.8% free throw rate. And that would rank him 6th in the entire league if he had enough games to qualify. The rest of his production statistically has stabilized while the team struggled mightily with him on the floor, but I wouldn't necessarily say that's because he's underperforming. Instead, I'd look at the shift from the top 5 paced offense they had under Dave Yeager last year to becoming the slowest team in the league under Luke Walton this year. I'd say after 3 really underwhelming seasons, it's pretty clear that Luke Walton's inept at putting his players in positions that maximize their skill sets. Buddy and De'Aaron dominated as a pair in transition last year, ranking the 90th percentile for transition efficiency, but it's completely fallen off a cliff this year with the reduced number of attempts. And I think this year De'Aaron really having to choose his spots instead of being able to push the pace like he wants to has led to this decline. But at the end of the day, I think this season can be a really good learning experience for De'Aaron. If he truly wants to be elite, he's not going to be able to play at 100 miles an hour all the time, especially fourth quarters, especially playoffs, right? So even if the product is poor on the court this year, I think in the long run it can be really helpful for him. And truth be told, the Kings suck ass, so I don't watch them, and I don't really have anything else to say about them this year. While De'Aaron is not built in the mold of ultra-high usage rate guards like Harden, Westbrook, or Doncic, he has tremendous upside with his ability to control two ends of the floor, with his elite athleticism and decision-making. High efficiency, with the ability to control an offense without dominating it. A true team player. For these reasons, I think we might have the next NBA's point guard on our hands.
Drive Mustang.
If you're a fan of this type of long-form, in-depth player breakdown, make sure to subscribe to my channel for more top-notch NBA content.